Hi everyone, my name is Jiglo Rustiantonda and then you can call me Tian.
Hi everyone, my name is Rati Regata Fradiska Munesti.
Hello, my name is Maltufa Zakiatul Husna. I am from Group 4.
Frambang, you can call me Alfer. I come from East Nusa Tenggara. Frambang, you can call me Alfer. I come from East Nusa Tenggara. Okay. Matatel definisi structure of complex sentence. Okay, the first definition of a complex sentence structure. A complex sentence consists of one independent clause, a complete thought that can stand alone, and at least one dependent clause, also known as a subordinate clause, which cannot stand alone. Okay, and then key components. The first, independent clause. Okay, independent clause contain a subject and a verb and express a complete thought. And then the second, dependent clause. Dependent clause contain a subject and a verb starts with a subordinating conjunction. Example, because, although, if, since, while, and another. Okay, or a relative pronoun. Example, who, which, that. Okay, and the last, the connector. The connector, the subordinating conjunction, acts as the glue that attaches the dependent thought to the independent clause. Okay, maybe that's all from me, and you are welcome the next video, my partner.
Okay, now let's talk about the example of complex sentence. So now I would like to present 5 examples of complex sentence in this presentation. I will not only give the examples but also explain the topic of each sentence and how the sentence is structured grammatically. Complex sentences are important in academic English because they allow us to express ideas more clearly, logically, and in detail. The first one is the first topic is cause or reason. This topic is used to explain why an action or event happens. In academic writing, sentence showing cause or reason help the reader understand the background or motivation behind an action. Usually the general structure of the topic of the cause or reason is independent clause plus because, since, as, and plus dependent clause. For example, the sentence is, I didn't attend the class because I was sick. In this sentence, I didn't attend the class is the independent clause because it already has a complete meaning and shows the main idea. The clause because I was sick is the dependent clause. It cannot stand alone and its function is to explain the reason for not attending the class. And then the conjunction because connects the main action with its reason. This type of example sentence answer the question like why and is commonly used in explanation and arguments. The second topic is about time. This topic is used to explain when an event happens or to show the sequence of events. Time clauses help make sentences more organized and chronological. Usually the general structure of this topic is Usually we use when, while, after, before, and then dependent clause and also independent clause. That's the general structure. For example, the sentence is, when the lecturer arrived, the students become silent. That's the example. The clause when the lecturer arrived is dependent clause that shows the time of the event. Meanwhile, the main clause is the students become silent, which show the main action. So, because the dependent clause is placed at the beginning of the sentence, a comma is required. This structure helps the listener clearly understand that the students become silent after the lecture arrived. The third topic is about the contrast. This topic is used to show a contrast or opposition between two ideas, especially when the result is different from what is expected. And then usually we use general structure like although, even though, plus dependent clause, and also it has independent clause. For example, the sentence is, although the exam was difficult, she passed with a high score. And then the dependent clause is, although the exam was difficult, presents a difficult condition. Meanwhile, the dependent clause is, she passed with a high score, shows an unexpected result. The next is about the conjunction. Although expresses contrast, it is important to note that although should not be used together with but, because the contrast is already clearly expressed. The fourth topic is about the condition. This topic explains a condition or requirement that must be fulfilled for a result to happen. Conditional sentences are often used to talk about possibilities, predictions, or consequences. Usually the general structure of this topic, we use if plus present tense and then will plus base verb. For example, the sentence is, if you study consistently, you will improve your English skills. The clause if you study consistently is the dependent clause that states the condition. Meanwhile, the clause you will improve your English skills is the independent clause that shows the result. So, this sentence is an example of the first conditional, which is used to describe real and possible situation in the future. Let's move to the last topic, is about relative clause. Relative clauses are used to give additional information about a noun, so the meaning becomes more specific and clear. Usually the general structure of this topic, we use noun plus who or which or that plus clause. For example, the student who won the competition is my classmate. The main clause here is the student is my classmate, but this sentence is still too general. Then the relative clause is who won the competition, gives more specific information about which student is being the success. The relative pronoun who is used because it refers to a person. This type of complex sentence is very common in academic and descriptive writing.
And now I'm going to explain the examples, the structure of those examples. The first, okay, before I start to explain, let me say a little bit things about this. A complex sentence consists of one independent clause and at least one dependent clause. In syntax trees, the dependent clause is usually shown as S-bar, which stands for subordinate clause. The subordinating conjunction or relative word appears at the beginning of the S-bar, followed by its own sentence structure. And now let's move on to the first structure. The sentence 1. I did not attend the class because I was sick. This sentence is a complex sentence because it has an independent clause and an adverbial subordinate clause. The main clause is I did not attend the class. In the tree, this is the main S with NP, I as the subject, and VP as the predicate. The verb phrase includes the auxiliary did, the negation not, and the main verb attend. This shows how English forms negations syntactically using an auxiliary verb. The subordinate clause, because I was sick, that is the subordinate clause. This clause appears as an S-bar. The word because is a subordinating conjunction, so it introduces a dependent clause. Inside the S-bar, there is another S with NP, that is I, and VP, that is was sick. Functionally, this S-bar acts as an adverbial clause of reason, so it explains why the action in the main clause happened. Alright. Now the second example, the second sentence. When the lecturer arrived, the students became silent. This sentence contains an adverbial clause of time. The subordinate clause is when the lecturer arrived. In the tree, this appears as an S-bar introduced by when, which is a subordinating conjunction. Inside the S-bar, the clause has its own subject, yaitu the lecturer, and the predicate is arrived. Because it cannot stand alone, it is syntactically dependent. The main clause is the students became silent. Here, NP, the students, is the subject, and the VP, became silent, shows a linking verb followed by an adjective phrase. The key point to explain is that even though the subordinate clause comes first in the sentence, it is still dependent. The syntax tree shows this by placing S-bar outside but connected to the main S, not replacing it. And the next point will be presented by my friend.
And today I would like to explain the example and the next three diagrams. So the next three diagrams is number 3. We use although clause is consensive clause. The sentence, although the exam was difficult, she passed with a high score, contains a subordinate clause, although the exam was difficult, as the main clause. He passed with a high score. This type of subordinate clause is known as a consensive clause, which expresses contrast between the expectation outcome and the actual result. Normally, a difficult exam will suggest a low score, but the main clause contradicts with this expectation. The SBR here function as background information that set up contrast, while the main clause delivers the core event of the sentence. Next is we use if clause as conditional clause. In the word, if you study constantly, you will improve your English skill. The subordinate clause is if you study constantly. And the main clause is you will improve your English skill. This is conditional because this is conditional clause because it expresses a condition that must be fulfilled the result to occur. The meaning of the main clause depends logically in the subordinate clause. And grammatically, the modal verb will appear only in the main clause, indicating the predicted result, while the subordinate clause presents the condition using a present tense verb. The SPRR function as condition setting element rather than the main assertion. The last is relative clause. In the sentence, the student who won the competition is my classmate. The main clause is the student is my classmate. The subordinate clause who won the competition is a relative case clause that provide additional information about the noun student. Unlike a verbal clause, this SPRR does not modify a verb, but instead modify a noun phrase NP. Structurally, the SPRR is embedded aside the NP and introduced by the relative pronoun who. This its function to specify which student is being referred to, not to describe an action or event. That's all. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Enrico Sinugawi. Today, I would like to present my topic about the structure. So, this closing the structure of a complex sentence. To the structure of a complex sentence is based on the relation between an independent cause and or more independent clauses. The clauses are not simply joined together, but are connected through wording with each structure within as well. This whole the sentence meaning is created not only the vocabulary but also the critical structure by analyzing how clauses are attached and how different work we can better understand how English expresses this has causes time, question, and contrast. Therefore, understanding the structure of complex sentences helps see language not just grammar knowledge, but as a system where form and meaning work together to create clear and logical communication. Thank you.